you made your bones at the Washington Post, basically, as they say. And what do you think about this decline to endorse a candidate that's happening, that Bezos did this? What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I really disagree. The Post, though, it has a news side and an editorial side. It's one institution. And during Watergate, can I go back 50-plus years to talk about?
Yeah.
When Carl Bernstein and I wrote stories that were denied, the Washington Post editorial department stood squarely behind us all the way. Even the cartoonist, Herb Lott, stood behind us. He wrote cartoons about inspectors walking up to the White House and leaving footprints because the White House was lying.
As Whoopi pointed out, 200,000 digital subscriptions, and 3 members of the editorial board have stepped down. What do you think about that?
You know, look, those are individual choices, but I go with the idea it's one institution, and it is an institution that reporting about Donald Trump and what he's done is, and supported by the editorial page.
Which they've been doing. That's why it was so shocking.
Well,
I mean,
I do want to get to the book because there's so much in it. We've heard in the past days from many of Donald Trump's former generals. John Kelly spoke out recently. You spoke at length in the book to my dear friend, General Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
One of the most respected people
universally
in the military ever.
One of the most decent men I've ever known. And he described Trump as a fascist to the core, the most dangerous person in the country, and added, you've got to stop him. In your 50-plus years of reporting, have you ever experienced something like that from a 4-star general?
I have not.
Wow.
And I mean, that shook me. Because he stopped me and we said, we've got to talk. And I tell you, Donald Trump is the most dangerous person ever. A fascist to the core. And then he supported it with his views. And something to think about when you have somebody like Milley make this declaration. And then you look at the long list. Sorry, this is boring. Of former Trump aides, cabinet officers, publicly said Trump should not be president and shouldn't even be on the ballot.
Right. Pretty bad.
No, we have a democracy. He should be on the ballot if people want him there. But former Vice President Pence, former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper say he should not be president.
But isn't he a convicted felon, Bob?
Yes, I know.
So how come he's on the ballot?
These are the people who worked with him to protect our national security, which is a president's job number 1. All of these people, Defense Secretary Mattis, former Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, former Chief of Staff, John Kelly. Look,
it's only an hour show, Bob.
You know, I know.
The list is getting longer and longer.
But if you're hiring somebody to take care of your children, what do you call references? And if you said no, don't let these people near your child. Don't let Donald Trump near the Oval Office.
Right.
Mr. Woodward, Trump's affinity for dictators is well documented. And in this book, you report that he's had up to 7 calls with Putin since leaving office. We also know that during the height of the pandemic, he was sending some of the COVID tests over to Putin for personal use. How do you explain their dynamic?
Well, and the COVID tests were valuable, expensive, and he sent them to Putin, and then, of course, he denied it, and then the Kremlin confirmed it. I'm now going to have to put the Kremlin on speed dial.
Sounds like he has him on speed dial.
That's what it sounds like. Well, according to the book, the battle that has most affected President Biden is the one waged against his son, Hunter, who he loves dearly. Now, President Biden has promised not to pardon Hunter before he leaves office, but you're convinced that he will. Why?
Well, he's so close to Hunter. As one of Biden's closest friends says, the issue of Hunter, who's now pled guilty and is likely to go to jail, is the first war, the real war for President Biden. And their closeness, a pardon. I mean, who's going to blame a president who's a father who's gone through all the family agony of that family saying, I just want to pardon my son. I think that's going to happen, but,
And he
that's
blames
Biden's
himself. You
choice.
speak of that in the book.
And Mr. Woodward, I want to ask you about Ukraine because I believe Ukraine's on the ballot this election. You focus heavily on Putin's decision to invade Ukraine and said that it came down to simply a coin toss whether he might even use nuclear weapons. Now we see North Korea poised to join forces with Russia on the battlefield. How do you see this war escalating? Is the threat of a nuclear conflict still on the table?
Indeed, it is. It is really a dangerous time. Can I just real quick something? I mean, CIA Director Burns went to China a couple of months ago and came back and realized the increasing partnership between Russia and North Korea is getting to the point that Kim Jong-un, the truly crazy leader of North Korea, is getting capable of putting a nuclear weapon on an intercontinental ballistic missile and sending it to the United States. He's been working on it for years. He's getting closer. They're afraid, and the CIA director, Bill Burns, is worried about what he calls unplanned, inadvertent escalation, and says everything is, all the warning systems are blinking red, just as the CIA director said before 9/11.
Wow. Why we need serious leaders.
So, Bob Woodward's new book, War, is available now. You can scan the QR code on the screen to purchase a copy. Or you can, check it out. You can listen to it, as I do on Audible. It's available everywhere you want books to be.